those cases. So let me tell you which all are the locations where these raids have been conducted and what these cases are. As far as the Coimbatore blast case is concerned, the NIA has conducted raids. It's a multi-state raid. In Tamil Nadu itself, 31 locations have been raided. In Coimbatore, 14 of them, 1 in Trichy, 2 in the Nilgiris, in Tirunelveli, 3, in Tuticorin, 1, in Chennai, there were 3, in Dindigul, 1, in Krishnagiri, another raid, in Kanyakumari, a raid was conducted as well. Now, in Kerala, there was 1 raid that was conducted by the investigating agency, which happened in Ernakulam. As far as the Mangaluru blast case is concerned, there were raids that were conducted across states in that particular case as well. In that particular case, in Tamil Nadu, 3 locations were raided. Tirupur, 2 locations were raided, in which an arrest has been made as well. In Coimbatore, there was 1 raid that took place since this morning. Shifting focus to Kerala again, where raids were conducted in Ernakulam, in Karnataka as well. In Mysuru, there were raids conducted by the NIA. This is to piece together whether or not there is a link between these 2 blasts, the Coimbatore blast and the Mangaluru blast. What is the common link and what is the bigger nexus? That is what is under investigation, which is why these raids are being conducted. Now, 3 states, as I mentioned, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. That's where these raids have been going on since this morning. These raids are in connection with these 2 particular blasts. And searches are on in over 40 locations. What is being raided are houses mostly of suspects that were searched by the NIA. And these searches have led to large number of seizures, including 4 lakh rupees in cash, 4 phones and several other digital devices as well that have now been seized by the NIA, which are going to help the National Investigating Agency to piece together this mystery, to piece together this terror tentacle and the nexus really that seems to be operating or is operating, and how the investigating agency can ensure that they nip it in the bud. Joining me on this broadcast is Strategic Affairs expert Dr. Monica Verma. Sumansi Raman, political analyst, is also with me on this broadcast. But Dr. Monica Verma, let me get you started with this. And we've seen the kind of intensified crackdown by the NIA since this morning. It's a multi-state, multi-city investigation, multi-city raids that we are seeing. As far as these 2 particular cases go, initial investigations had suggested that there was an ISIS link, that there was someone sitting outside on foreign soil that was puppeteering these people who were to carry out these lone wolf attacks.
Yes, exactly, Poonam. These attacks that took place at the very onset, they were looking like lone wolf attacks, and the ISIS link emerged. And slowly, when the investigation progressed further, it was found that the main culprit, they were radicalized. In fact, one of the culprits in one of the cases was also arrested once in this India graffiti case. He was going around the town in Mangaluru and he was posting posters, and he was also putting anti-India graffiti on different walls. At that time also he was arrested, but unfortunately he was let off without proper investigation. But I'm sure had that link been investigated at that time, it would have emerged that he's a radicalized person and he has linkages with ISIS. So we know that how ISIS is trying to spread its tentacles in India. Just yesterday they have come up with especially specifically the ISKP. They have come up with a pamphlet, a part of a magazine, where they're saying that that they are in support of PFI. And Popular Front of India was banned in India last in October 22, if I'm not wrong. And they are hand in gloves with each other, and they're trying to promote and support each other in radicalizing the youth. Especially in South, we are seeing a huge concentration. And now, these attacks which have come to fore, they're manifesting this radicalization through these different bomb attacks. So I think, any incident, any small, incident where even they are doing sloganeering, or they are putting pictures, or they are posting something on social media, needs to be tracked down by the NIA, because, they have already, penetrated a country, and in different parts of the country, every single day, some ISIS module is being busted. I remember last year, I think it was in Jamia Nagar Batla House in New Delhi, where an ISIS module was busted, and it's happening across the country, not just in south but also in west, like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and so on. So I think any incident should be investigated further, and all these ISIS links should be, deeply investigated by the NIA.
Sure, because that bigger nexus, Sumansi Raman, needs to be investigated. But as far as these two particular cases also go, these accused were on agency radar in the past. Somehow they managed to slip under the radar, and thankfully nothing bigger happened. But we have seen such cases in the past as well, where people have slipped under the radar of the agencies, either because the state law enforcement agencies haven't been able to keep a track of them, or the courts have given them bail. How do we deal with such kind of instances?
No, I think, Poonam, in this particular case, Jamisha Mubin in the Coimbatore blast was actually questioned by the NIA. So after being questioned, he was, somewhere somebody dropped the ball off. And, while the state government says it was NIA which actually said that they did not have actionable evidence against him at that point of time, the fact remains that nobody was actually keeping track of him, which is what led to the Coimbatore incident. Now, the area in and around Coimbatore and the bordering districts of Kerala have emerged as hotbeds of radicalization, if one can use the term. But the point is, whether the NIA is completely on top of the situation is something that we really do not know. We saw what happened in Mangaluru, and we saw what happened in Coimbatore hardly in the space of a few months. So there is this concern, and hopefully some of these raids will help, identify and crack down on the perpetrators or their associates and so on. But there is a challenge in the sense that the state government is unlikely, at least in Tamil Nadu, to be overly energetic because of their minority vote bank, which I think is a major concern as far as the NIA should be a major concern for the NIA in Tamil Nadu. Because earlier, we remember that after the Coimbatore incident, the state government consistently kept calling it a cylinder explosion. They just kept calling it a cylinder explosion persistently, despite the NIA actually coming out with the evidence that it was, for all practical purposes, a terror attack. So there is this concern that these issues should not be politicized. After all, these are not targeted against a community. They are targeted against a very small percentage of radicalized elements.
Yes.
And if those radicalized elements intend to cause harm to the public in any manner whatsoever, then it is the duty of the state police and the NIA to work together as a team to bring an end to these episodes.
And like you said, Sumansi Raman, it's not against one particular community. It's not against an entire community or a generalization. But for some reason, when we do see crackdowns like these, when we do see operations like these, there are certain voices from even political parties in this country that come out and make it to be that. Do you think that is one of the reasons why such investigations perhaps derail?
No, I don't think so. Because in this particular case, let me give you an example. The local Jamaat was extremely firm that the NIA should do its job and it should catch the culprits. So they came out and they said, look, this is completely unacceptable. In fact, the members of the local Jamaat actually even paid a courtesy call to the temple, outside which this incident actually happened. So I think that these give us hope that, that there is some kind of an understanding that terror is completely unacceptable. And radicalized elements, irrespective of the community they belong to, must be dealt with an iron hand. And I think that Coimbatore hopefully would have learned, at least the NIA and the state police would have learned a lesson from Coimbatore, and hopefully we will not see such incidents being repeated in future. Now that NIA continues the crackdown, they know that the radicalized elements will know that the heat is on them. So hopefully, this surveillance, active surveillance, will continue.
Right, this active surveillance is very, very important, Monica Verma, isn't it? Because like we've been talking about, the fact that many of these, especially in these two particular cases, they were on the radar of the agencies, and yet despite them being a threat, despite them being questioned, despite knowing that they have these kind of antecedents, they somehow managed to slip under the radar, and that is something that caused both of these incidences, and that is something that we cannot afford to have, because that something is perhaps that all of those linked to the ISIS or any other organizations that are trying to unleash terror on Indian soil are hoping for the Indian agencies to do, to drop that ball.
Absolutely. And what makes their task really difficult is that instead of addressing it like a national security issue, as it should be addressed, they have made it about a particular community. So, we see this game being played all the time between India being a Hindutva state and the minorities being persecuted. So, this kind of imagery never helps the investigative agencies to get down to the truth and, find out how these elements are being radicalized, and now they are trying to do bomb blasts and different types of attacks in India. In fact, just go back to how, the PFI ban was received in India. The day PFI was banned, and ultimately, in fact, surprisingly, so many sane voices within the community itself. I've personally spoken to many, people who are respected in that community. They themselves have said that please ban PFI because our youth is being radicalized, and this is not how we want our children to grow. They also want peace, development, and a progressive future. But the entire way, these youth are being they've been brainwashed. They are being taught that you are being persecuted, you are being victimized. Just go through what ISKP has published this week in the magazine. They're full of references to the Indian government as a government of cow worshippers, and they're trying to create that chasm between the Indian. They're trying to create this chasm between the Indian society and rest of them. They're trying to marginalize them, not allowing them to become a part of the mainstream.
Yes.
I think that's very problematic. I think in today's date, when India is in 21st century, I think every single community wants to grow and be a part of this India story. And
sure, that alienation is something that shouldn't happen.
Absolutely.
And I'm running out of time, but Suman Raman, 30 seconds. Yes, go ahead.
Last point.
Yes.
Look, I think we have to make a distinction between radicalized elements and those who are planning terror attacks, and the perception of persecution that is there with the likes of a Siddiq Kapan, who has spent over 2 years in jail, and God only knows what actually the offense is. When he is granted bail, immediately there is some money laundering charge which is clamped against him. These are the incidents, Omar Khalid or a Sharjeel Imam. Now, the point is, these incidents give the perception to members of the Muslim community that perhaps that they are not getting the kind of equality that they actually should be getting. And I think that is where this whole victimhood mentality sort of starts to arise. And those are the incidents that government needs to look into very seriously, because if these incidents continue, then the youth then start to get radicalized more easily. It becomes difficult to control.
Sure, like I said, alienation is something that needs to be looked at, and that's something that needs to be investigated. But unfortunately, I'm running completely out of time. But I'd like to thank you both for joining us on this broadcast with your perspective. The investigation in these two cases is escalating as we speak. Is there a possible connection between the Coimbatore and the Mangaluru blast? That is also under investigation. And CNN News 18's Purnima Murli spoke to one of those people who was raided today by the NIA for being in touch with one of the accused in the Coimbatore blast. Listen in to what he had to tell us.
What really happened today at 5 a.m.? Can you tell us?
Actually, two officials from NIA and then rest all everything witnesses came, and rest all escort people came. So around 7 people they came at early morning 5 o'clock. What they found is they arrested some people over there. They having some contact with me. I also having some frequent contact with us. So what they misunderstood is maybe I am also one of the accused, or I having some ideologies to propaganda that terrorism in Tamil Nadu, or this ideologies to the people by preaching Islam, something like that. I am not under any Jamaat or any labeled community or groups, something like that. So I am an individual people. So I am following what Prophet and what Allah says in the Quran. That only I am following. So based on that link, we should not assume that these guys is having, or these people is having this ideology, something like that. Because even if one people is doing, we can't assume the whole. First, they have to track my history, where I'm roaming, what is my ideology, what is my scenario, so where I have traveled, my call histories, these things also first they have to track. So suddenly, blindly, if they're coming and asking this means, it will create some, some, what to say, uncomfortable.
Let's shift focus now to the brutal case of murder that has come to the fore from the national capital. It's a chilling reminder of the Shraddha murder case that we saw not too long ago. The body of a 25-year-old woman, Nikki Yadav, was found inside a freezer at a dhaba in southwest Delhi's Najafgarh. Police has revealed that Nikki died due to strangulation, but the exact time of death cannot be ascertained since the body was in the refrigerator. Now, CNN News 18 has accessed exclusive footage of Nikki Yadav entering her home just hours before her murder. The police have said that the woman was killed 2 to 3 days ago before she was found. The dhaba owner, the accused, Sahil Gehlot, has been arrested. He also has been sent to 5-day police custody. From initial interrogation, we do know that he has confessed to his crime, and it has been revealed that the victim had been in a relationship with the accused and that she was against the accused's marriage to someone else, which is why he decided to kill her in a fit of rage. Now, here's exactly what happened, and these are the shocking details that have now come to the fore. Sahil Gehlot murdered his girlfriend Nikki Yadav on the 9th of February. It was the intervening night, in fact, of February 9th and 10th. Sahil hid his marriage plans with another girl from Nikki Yadav, and that really was the bone of contention between the two. He then went on to murder Nikki when she confronted about it. Sahil strangulated Nikki with a data cable that was there in his car. Sahil hid the body at his dhaba. This was near Najafgarh, near the Mitro village, is what we're given to understand. It's a dhaba that he owns. He returned home after he dumped her body in the refrigerator there and married his fiancée just hours later. Now, Nikki's body was recovered after Sahil's arrest. Initially, he did try to mislead the investigating agencies, but eventually confessed, and now the police are trying to piece together and find the evidence to corroborate his story so they can build a watertight case against him.
Shocking details coming out from the Delhi police sources at this point in time. So yes, this incident happened of 9th and 10th February. Remember, on the 9th of February was the engagement of Sahil Gehlot, and on the 10th of February was the marriage of Sahil Gehlot. So yes, on the 9th of February, he on the intervening 9th and 10th February, he strangles his live-in girlfriend who they were living in for almost 4 to 5 years. Now, they initially met in the year 2018, and since then they have been living together. So this incident happened on the intervening night of 9th and 10th February at Kashmiri Gate, where Sahil strangled Nikki Yadav to death with a phone charger that was present in his vehicle itself. And after that, from Kashmiri Gate, he comes down to this place at which I am standing right now. I'm standing at Mitron village, at the very dhaba in which it has been alleged the body of Nikki Yadav was found out here. So yes, Sahil drove all the way from Kashmiri Gate to this dhaba out here in Mitro village in Najafgarh. That is approximately a distance of 40 kilometers. And in the meanwhile, he kept the body of Nikki Yadav in the front seat itself, and he went around driving fearlessly. And in that duration of 40 kilometers, no one actually raised any suspicion that a dead body was lying in the front seat of that vehicle. And once reaching out here in his dhaba, he went ahead and kept that body, in fact concealed that body in a fridge at his dhaba. Another incident that has shook the conscience of the national capital. Currently, I am reporting from that very vehicle that was used in the incident in which Nikki Yadav was killed. It is being said that both Nikki and Sahil were traveling in this vehicle, and when an argument broke out between Nikki and Sahil regarding the marriage of Sahil, Sahil decided to go ahead and strangulate Nikki with a cord that was present inside the vehicle, and he decided to kill her. Now, Nikki got killed at Kashmiri Gate. From there, he travelled in this very vehicle for approximately 40 kilometers, where he reached his dhaba at the Mitron village, and from that dhaba he decided to hide that body in a fridge that was present inside the dhaba at that point in time. Currently, what we are being told is that Nikki's body has been sent for post-mortem. However, the investigation is going on in this point in time. This is the vehicle that has been seized by the police. The police is now covering this vehicle, as we can see in the visuals out here. So yes, the forensic team is likely to come here in the next few minutes.
अगर ये शादी करने के बाद ये इस बॉडी को डिस्पोज कर देता तो बाद में बहुत दिक्कत आ जाती. तो जो टाइमिंग था वो बहुत ही परफेक्ट था कि जो हमने इसको टाइमली इसको डिटेक्ट कर लिया. एक बार बॉडी डिस्पोज करता तो जैसा आपने पीछे केसेस में देखा है, फिर वो डीएनए मैच कराना, उसको लिंक करना, साक्ष्य जुटाना और फिर उसको साक्ष्यों को चिन्हित करके इससे अक्यूज्ड या अभियुक्त से जोड़ना, उसमें काफ़ी दिक्कतें हो जाती है और ट्रायल भी काफ़ी लंबी चल जाती है। जहाँ जहाँ वो उसको घुमा के लेके गया मर्डर के दौरान, वहाँ की कोशिश कर रहे हैं अगर सीसीटीवी फुटेज वगैरह मिल जाए। 9 तारीख की शाम को उसके पास आता है, जब वो उसको कन्फ्रंट करती है कि मैंने ऐसा सुना है, तो कहता नहीं नहीं मैं तुम्हें घुमाने ले चलता हूँ, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। 5 दिन की रिमांड ले ली है यही सारी चीज़ें करने के लिए, सीक्वेंस को एस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए, साक्ष्यों को और मजबूत करने के लिए।
इस 9 फरवरी की उनकी मंगनी थी, 10 फरवरी को शादी होनी थी। 9 तारीख को उनकी महिला मित्र निकी यादव को पता चला तो उन्होंने कन्फ्रंट करने के लिए उनको बुलाया था और रात को जब ये मिले हैं तो उस टाइम पे इनमें आपस में बहस हुई और उसमें गुस्से में आकर साहिल ने अपनी महिला मित्र का अपने मोबाइल फ़ोन के केबल से गला घोंटकर उनका मर्डर कर दिया। उसके बाद उनकी बॉडी को कंसील करने के लिए उनके खेतों में एक छोटा सा ढाबा बना हुआ था, ढाबे में फ्रिज में उसकी बॉडी को उन्होंने कंसील करने के लिए फ्रिज में डाल के उसको और वहाँ पे लॉक लगा दिया। वहाँ पे
+2 करने के बाद में साइंस से +2 करके दोनों ने, उसके बाद में नोएडा भी चली गई। नोएडा 13 तारीख को आई, 12
फरवरी को
इसी 12 को आई थी, 13 को चली गई। वो फार्म पे साइन कराने आई थी अपने पापा के, एग्जाम देना है, एग्जाम हुआ था ना, फार्म पे साइन कराने के लिए आई। उसके जाने के बाद में कई दफ़ा बात होती थी मेरी, डेट मेरी याद थी, कई दफ़ा बात, मेरे को तो 4-5 दिन मेरे फोन में बात कर लिया थी, बाबा ठीक हो, मैं ठीक हूँ।
The investigation is progressing in this particular case. The shocking details are coming out. As of February 10th is when cops received the secret input that Sahil had murdered Nikki. That's how the cops went about investigating this case, because no missing persons complaint was filed by Nikki's family. There were no details about her whereabouts. But on an anonymous tip is what we're given to understand, that a search operation was actually launched to apprehend Sahil. And only after his arrest is when they found out that he had in fact killed his girlfriend, a 25-year-old Nikki Yadav, and dumped her body in a refrigerator in the dhaba that he had owned on the outskirts of Delhi. Shankar Anand, my colleague, now joins us live for more details on that. Shankar, पूछताछ अभी चल रही है काफी लोगों के साथ। जिस लड़की के साथ इस अक्यूज्ड की शादी हुई थी कुछ ही घंटों बाद, क्या उसके या उसके परिवारजनों के साथ पूछताछ हुई है अभी?
देखिए, इस मामले में जो साहिल गहलोत का जो कई उससे जो जानकार हैं, उससे इस मामले में पूछताछ की जा रही है और रजौरी गार्डन स्थित जो क्राइम ब्रांच का दफ्तर है वहीं पे पूछताछ की जा रही है। और जिस तरह से इस मामले में जो क्राइम ब्रांच के अधिकारी हैं वो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि साहिल गहलोत ने जब निक्की यादव की हत्या को अंजाम दिया था तो उसके बाद अपने परिवार के किन किन सदस्यों के संपर्क में था, वो कौन कौन से उसके जानकार, उसके रिश्तेदार थे जिसके साथ वो लगातार बातचीत कर रहा था। और क्राइम ब्रांच ये भी जानना चाहती है क्या इस मामले की जानकारी उनके परिवार के तमाम लोगों को थी या नहीं थी, और उसके बाद भी उसके शादी के जो रस्म है उसको पूरा किया जा रहा था। तो एक कहा जा सकता है कि इस मामले में अभी कई और जो खुलासे होने अभी भी बाकी हैं और इस मामले में साहिल से पूछताछ की जा रही है और 5 दिनों की रिमांड के दौरान में इन तमाम सवालों का जवाब तलाशा जाएगा। हालांकि जिस तरह से देखा जाए कि निक्की हत्याकांड को अंजाम देने के बाद जिस तरह से कई घंटों तक दिल्ली की सड़कों पर वो कार चलाता रहा और इसके साथ ही एक आईपीटी से लेकर जिस तरह से वो नटकगढ़ इलाके में पहुंच रहा है, मित्राओं गाँव पहुंच रहा है और वहां पहुंचने के बाद जिस तरह से फ्रीज में उसके बॉडी को डाल करके इस मामले को छुपाने की कोशिश करता है और ठीक अगले ही दिन वो शादी की तमाम जो खुशियां होती हैं, तमाम जो रस्म रवाज जो होते हैं वो उसमें व्यस्त हो जाता है। तो उसे इस बात को का एहसास था तो उसे कोई भी पकड़ नहीं सकता है, पुलिस जो है उसे पकड़ नहीं सकती है और इस मामले की जानकारी किसी को भी नहीं होगी। तो शायद इसी का तकाजा है कि इस मामले की जानकारी जैसे ही क्राइम ब्रांच को मिलती है, क्राइम ब्रांच की टीम इस मामले पर एक तमाम अपने मुखबिर को एक्टिव करने के बाद इन तमाम जानकारियों को खंगालते हैं और खंगालने के बाद उस आरोपी को गिरफ्तार कर लिया जाता है। तो इस तरह से कहा जा सकता है कि ये पूरा का पूरा मामला श्रद्धा हत्याकांड जैसे ही है। यहाँ पर सिर्फ किरदार बदल गए हैं, तो सिर्फ वही है। एक कहा जा सकता है कि एक फिल्मी स्टाइल में इस हत्याकांड को अंजाम दिया गया, लेकिन इस मामले में जिस कार में इस हत्याकांड को अंजाम दिया गया था, उस कार को भी क्राइम ब्रांच की टीम अब जब्त करने के बाद जो फॉरेंसिक एग्जामिनेशन है वो करवाएगी और इसके साथ ही उसके जो फोन कॉल के डिटेल्स हैं खासतौर पर वो देखा जाएगा कि किन लोगों के संपर्क में था, तो उसके जो व्हाट्सएप चैट्स हैं और इसके साथ ही जो सीडीआर है, कॉल डिटेल और उसके डेटा जो है बकायदा वो खंगाला जाएगा, जिससे कि ये जाना जाएगा कि वो किन किन लोगों के संपर्क में था और कौन कौन से लोग थे जो साहिल गहलोत को मदद कर रहे थे। इस मामले की भी पुख्ता पड़ताल की जाएगी।
Gee, the investigation is on. For the moment, Shankar, thank you so much for getting us the very latest. We'll keep a track of that and much more here on CNN News 18. But a quick break on this edition. Back in just a few minutes.
Agreement shows the deepening ties between India and the United States, and it's also going to help boost employment opportunities in both the countries. While making this announcement, US President Joe Biden highlighted that this is Boeing's third biggest sale of all time. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron has also expressed his commitment to building strong ties not only in the aerospace sector but also in other avenues.
निकट भविष्य में भारत एविएशन सेक्टर में विश्व का तीसरा सबसे बड़ा मार्केट बनने जा रहा है। कई आकलनों के अनुसार भारत को अगले 15 वर्षों में 2000 से अधिक विमानों की आवश्यकता होगी। आज की ऐतिहासिक घोषणा इस बढ़ती मांग को पूरा करने में सहायक होगी। भारत की मेक इन इंडिया, मेक फॉर द वर्ल्ड विजन के तहत एरोस्पेस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में अनेक नए अवसर खुल रहे हैं।
The first one is that Airbus is contributing to the outstanding development of India, and the new 250 aircrafts which will be delivered to Air India will be one more step in this direction. There is a deep commitment in France to provide the state-of-the-art, the most efficient technologies available to India, and to be part of your Made in India strategy. French government has put all my energy for the last 6 years to reinvigorate French industry. And beyond aviation, we are building a new ambition in the sectors of nuclear energy, microchips, space, cyber, biotech, to mention a few of them.
CNN News 18's Ridhima Bhatnagar is joining us live on this story to give us more details. Ridhima, can you tell us more about this mega deal?
Right. So as we've been pointing out that this is a historic deal on multiple levels. This is a deal that is being inked with Air India and Airbus as part of the first deal and Air India and Boeing as part of the second deal. So first, let's break down what is this deal between Air India as well as Airbus. Remember, this is as part of the expansion, also as part of the revival plan under Tata-owned. So let's first talk about Airbus. Under that, the deal that is being inked is that they're going to be buying about 250 aircrafts. How do we break that 250 aircrafts? About 40 of them are wide-body aircrafts and about 210 of them are narrow-bodied aircrafts. Now, this is going to be step one as part of revival if Air India is concerned, and this is what we heard from the management of Airbus as well. This, of course, also talks largely as far as ties between India and France is concerned, and this is what we heard in the sound bites by Emmanuel Macron and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Let's talk about the second part of this deal, which is with Boeing. And this is also an equally significant one, which is also over 200 aircraft. So if you put both the deals together, it's close to 470 aircrafts. As far as Boeing is concerned, this is a deal that we saw the release of the White House that was put out as well. This is significant because this amounts to almost $34 billion and has the potential to go up as well. But it's not just about the aircrafts. It's once again as far as the significance of ties between both the countries. And this is something that was highlighted by President Joe Biden. He also went on to say that even if you look at how this will impact the economy, this will help almost 1 million jobs in America alone. And as I said, it has the potential to go up as well. So as far as Boeing is concerned, that deal stands at about $34 billion, and that will have over 200 aircrafts. The deal with Airbus will have about 250. So put together, almost 470 aircraft is what we are looking at. As we said, this is one of the largest aviation deals that we're looking at in the history of aviation.
Ridhima, also, how is this deal going to impact the ties between India and United States?
Oh, absolutely. As I pointed out, and this was something that was highlighted by US President Joe Biden as well, once he was talking about why the significance of this deal was important, was not just as far as the revival of the aviation sector or specifically revival and expansion of Air India is concerned, but this has also gone through because of the deepening ties between both the leaders and the kind of trust that we have between India and United States. And I'm in fact just quoting from what US President Joe Biden said. He said that this purchase will support over 1 million American jobs across 44 states, and it will not even require a 4-year college degree. But as far as the ties between both the countries is concerned, this is again what US President Joe Biden said, and I'm quoting, he said, "This announcement also reflects the strength of the US-India economic partnership. Together with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I look forward to deepening our partnership even further as we continue to confront shared global challenges, creating a more secure and prosperous future for all our citizens." So this is Amrit Kal, as we've been saying, and this is a new chapter because, you know, if you go back to the 70s or even the 60s, it was almost unimaginable to see or even envision a deal like this. And today we're awaiting the order of almost 470 aircrafts, about 250 from Airbus and over 200 from Boeing. So it also speaks a lot as to where India is positioned as far as the global map is concerned, and how Prime Minister Modi also is seen as a leader and the power vision that he has for the country at large.
Ridhima, also after this landmark deal, what impact will it have on the global front? Like, this is a historic deal. How will the world now see India as?
As I was pointing out, Anjali, this is significant, right? It's not just the aviation sector that is closely watching deals like this, but also on the global.
Thank you for staying with us. Another Hindu temple was vandalized in Canada. It was defaced with anti-India graffiti, sparking outrage among the Indian community there. The Consulate General of India in Toronto has strongly condemned the incident and called for prompt action. The incident was also condemned by Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown. He asserted that hate has no place in Canada and that the police are investigating the same. But why does this keep happening? We've seen several such instances in the recent past coming in from across the world, not just in Canada. But here's what has happened in Canada and what India has done about it. Now, India has raised the issue. Like I said, the Consulate General there has taken to Twitter and going on to say that they've strongly condemned the defacing of this Ram temple in Brampton. Now, the mayor has come out and said that we're extremely saddened by the hate that has been, by the vandalism that was motivated by hate. Investigation is extremely important, India has asserted in this anti-India graffiti case. The Brampton mayor has come out and assured that this type of hate has no place in this particular Peel region where we saw this vandalism. But India has gone on to say that we request prompt action against the perpetrators of this particular crime. Nothing will be left unturned. No stone will be left unturned. We'll do everything we can to make sure everyone is safe, is what the Canadian authorities have now come out and said. But are these assurances enough? Because we see such instances coming to the fore, not just from Canada, but from Australia, from the United Kingdom as well. What is emboldening these kind of elements, especially in Canada, where we've also seen several pro-Khalistan referendums that have also been held in the recent past? Why is it that the Hindu community seems to be facing the brunt of all of this in these countries? We'll get into that, but first up, some reactions.
भारत विरोधी कुछ लोग जो विदेशों में रह करके उन्हें ऐसा लगता है कि उनके ऊपर कार्यवाही नहीं होगी, लेकिन सभी मित्र देश हैं हमारे, और भारत जिस तरह से विश्व में अपनी स्थापना कर रहा है, माननीय मोदी जी के शासनकाल में जिस प्रकार से भारत अपनी एक पहचान बना रहा है, भारत अपने अस्तित्व में विश्व गुरु की ओर पुनः लौट रहा है, उसी में ये एक बाधा है। मुझे लगता है कि जब बड़ा काम कोई होने को होता है तो ये कीड़े मकोड़े बिलबिलाते हैं, और ये उसी का परिचायक है। वहाँ मंदिर तोड़ा गया है, वहाँ की सरकार से मैं बस इतना कहूँगी कि उस पर कठोर से कठोर कार्यवाही करे।
And the Canadian government should take severe, immediate and stringent action against those perpetrators who are doing these sinful acts. In last month, they target the Gauri Shankar temple. In the last year, September, they target the Swaminarayan temple. And now the Ram temple. How long the Hindu community can bear these type of attacks? The same needs to be taken up at higher level, and the severe actions must be ensured so that such type of attacks must stop.
So why exactly are we seeing this kind of hate against India, against the Hindu community? This latest one, of course, coming in from Canada, but we've seen something similar happen in Australia as well. And joining me on this broadcast is author and activist Rahul Ishwar, senior editor of the Swaraj magazine. Tushar Gupta also joins me on this broadcast. And Tushar Gupta, I want to get started with you. We've seen such instances coming to the fore from Australia in the recent past. Canada seems to be giving a platform to pro-Khalistani members time and again. We've seen the kind of calls that have come to the fore from Canada, referendums that have been held, at least 2 in the last 6 to 8 months. There seems to be very little or no political will to actually rein in these elements. Wouldn't you say so?
Absolutely, you're spot on. But, you know, in this case, Brampton has a very, very elaborate history of encouraging such hate speeches, such referendums. Coming from the state of Punjab, I have had a lot of friends who visited Canada, and they tell me that in Brampton, you can easily find people who are openly calling for Khalistan. The lobbies are working actively, and these lobbies were very much visible during the farmer protest, also on a lot of social media channels. So what we are seeing from Brampton today is an extension to what has been going on over there since the last 20, 30 years. Just that no one has had the political will, neither in India nor in Canada, to question these elements or put a curb on them. Everyone has been turning a blind eye towards them for reasons best known to them. But what we are seeing in Brampton worries me a lot, because if it's extended to other parts of Canada or the United Kingdom or Australia, where we have a huge Hindu, Sikh, Indian diaspora, then it becomes a problem, because there is an attempt by these lobbies to drive a wedge between the two communities, and that will be very problematic.
Absolutely. And Rahul Ishwar, that's something that we've only seen lip service about, that yes, we don't want any hate, we don't want any enmity between two communities. We saw similar reactions coming from Australia as well. But that's where it stops. It stops at the condemnation. Even in Australia, we saw 3 to 4 attacks in a span of just 1 month, and not one arrest made in any of those cases. How do you then build confidence in the community that has been living in both these countries? And both these countries, both these areas especially, both in Australia and in Canada, have very large Indian diaspora.
Absolutely. As you rightly said, Poonamji, many times they are only paying lip service. Any community member, who wants to feel safe will only feel safe when they see action by the authorities. The hate crime against Hindu community is rising. Not only here, there are many spaces. So it is very important that we remain vigilant. One. Second, India as the largest Hindu majority nation in the world, take a very strong stand. Support Indian communities, support Hindu community there, because it is very important. We are a very strong nation in the world, and it is our responsibility to support the dharmic communities anywhere. And we have the greatest of relations with our Sikh community. The Sikhs were some of the greatest dharmics we have. But these Khalistanis are, some people say they are partially funded by ISI. They have other nefarious links. They have international extremist links. So these Khalistanis don't represent our Sikh community, whereas they extrapolate these Sikh sentiments and try to create their own political agendas and create a vendetta against India and Hindu community. So it is very important we call out, we expose, we petition, and also action be taken in Canada, in Australia, in Europe, and many other spaces. Otherwise, it can really be an issue, especially there is a growing Hindu community around the world. And Hindu community should be on vigil and be guard against such hate crimes. And we should call out such Hindu phobia in very strong terms. And this should be designated as hate crimes itself. I believe last to last year, there was an attempt in Canada to designate such actions, such hate crimes, which unfortunately didn't pass through. So such hate crimes should be called. The usage and the all paraphernalia of Hindu phobia should be exposed, and we should be ready to take it on a global scale.
But Rahuleshwar, I want to ask you, can we tackle a problem that we don't acknowledge the existence of? Many, not just in this country, but around the world as well, don't even want to acknowledge the fact that Hindu phobia exists. It is something that India has been raising at the United Nations level as well, that this is something that we need to talk of.
And the interesting thing is, even last week, Pakistan's Human Rights Commission report, they acknowledged that there are forced conversions there, especially in Sindh. But in India, the secular lobby says there is nothing called forced conversion. How can there be forced conversions? Mahatma Gandhi was against forced conversions, and we are all for harmony. Hindus are the people who give the great message of harmony. But unless we acknowledge, unless we drop our pseudo-secularism and be open and honest, there is a matter of fact, truth, and fairness. Every community needs to be protected and cherished. But when it comes to Hindu community, there is a pseudo-secular silence that's happening for many people. We have to wake them up. We have to point out, and especially they are the minorities there. We Hindu community are the minorities in many parts of the world, and it is important that we make them feel secure, support in a very good way, and that is our dharmic responsibility too.
Absolutely. And Tushar Gupta, we've had diplomats at individual level, at consulate level or at a high commissioner level in both Canada and Australia rake up these issues, but very little has come out of it. Do you think now it's time that perhaps at a higher level, tightening of screws is required? Perhaps New Delhi now from here needs to send that message loud and clear.
You know, if I were advising the government at this point, there are two things I would suggest. One, the overseas cards of all these citizens who are backing these lobbies, are participating in these hate speeches, they need to be cancelled. The finances need to be questioned, investigated, but most importantly, their bank accounts, their assets in India need to be frozen. You can't be holding an Indian NRI and going abroad and calling for a separate state or carving out of a separate state. But Poonam, the worry is in the last 2 years, the number of these lobbies has proportionally grown. They were there, they were underlying. They were not that visible on the surface or in the political sphere. But after the farmer protest in Punjab, that was backed by a lot of opposition parties in India, unknowingly, a lot of these lobbies have suddenly surfaced. They're running their own agendas every single day, not just in Brampton or in Australia, but on social media channels day in and day out. I myself have been a victim of some of these lobbies on some social media networks. So we need to have the government taking a strict note of these things, taking into consideration the assets that can be frozen of the people who are calling for secession of the state, and most importantly, a strong, stern diplomatic dialogue with the governments of the United Kingdom, where the Leicester violence happened, of Australia and of Canada.
Absolutely. That message needs to be sent out loud and clear, and that's something that needs to be taken at the highest level, and that is what the need of the hour is, because there is very little that we are seeing in terms of action, be it any of these cases. And as far as Canada and pro-Khalistani sentiments go, Tushar Gupta, we've seen the kind of platform that they've gotten, the kind of events that have publicly been held, the representatives, public representatives that have been elected there, that have been seen at these particular events as well, which is why there is growing unease among the community there too.
Absolutely. See, if you are a Hindu in Canada today, and just a few months ago, the government had to issue an advisory for the citizens of India staying in Canada, citing the violence that was imminent there. Now, this is the lowest point for Indian diaspora ever in Canada, but this is where we have come. Now, the public representatives, and there is a minority party in Canada, which is run by the Sikhs, they were backing these entire lobbies and the entire ecosystem of hate speech during the farmer protests. It is there that the entire problem has stemmed from, being a simple problem that could have been curbed into a huge mess. Now, this is where the government needs to act. The government needs to hold a strong diplomatic dialogue, probably get the US also involved, because this is about North America at the end of the day, and have Canada in a corner. Tell them that this kind of hate speech would not be tolerated, or perhaps the cost would be the diplomatic relations between the government of Canada and India.
And that seems to be the only way out for New Delhi to tighten screws. I thank you both gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. We'll keep a track of that, but for now, shifting focus to a CNN News 18 exclusive. And we've spoken to the Indian Navy Chief, Admiral Hari Kumar. Listen in to this exclusive conversation on things that he's spoken of, on the future of the Navy, the challenges we face, and how the Indian Navy plans to overcome them.
Joined by Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral R. Hari Kumar. Sir, my first and foremost question is about Indian Ocean region. We know about the challenges there. China is trying to dominate the area. If you can throw some light on those challenges and also the future plans of Indian Navy.
The Indian Ocean is a very complex area because there is it's very important for almost the entire world because so much of traffic flows through it, maritime traffic. There is trade which flows through the region. It is important not only for us, it's important for the rest of the world as well. So therefore, while we are the largest navy, the resident navy in the region, we have to ensure that there is peace and stability because the oceans are the global commons. At any point of time, there are about 65 to 70 extra regional navies operating in this region. So it's our we as the resident naval power in this region, we keep track of all the activities that are happening. There are Chinese naval ships also operating. There are Chinese warships. There are Chinese research vessels, Chinese fishing boats in large numbers, and the prosperity at sea is dependent upon peace, tranquility, our ability to use the oceans in a free, open, and in compliance with the rule of law and so on. So that is what we try to achieve, and it is something which cannot be achieved just by one navy alone. It has to be done in cooperation and collaboration as well as coordination with all the navies in the region. So we have our outreach program, we have our activities along with the friendly foreign countries in the region. We help them, we interact with them, we train them, we facilitate capacity building, we strengthen their hands, we have multilateral exercises, all that goes on.
Also about the future plans of Indian Navy.
Yeah. So the future plans, we have a capability development program which takes into consideration what are the challenges that we are likely to face, and based upon that I can tell you that we already have 43 ships under construction, out of which 41 are being built in Indian shipyards only, and we have nearly 49 ships. The AON is being processed, and so by about 2035 or so, we anticipate that we'll be about 170 to 175 ship navy, which will be quite capable of meeting the challenges that we are likely to face.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Admiral Hari Kumar clearly putting his thoughts forward on the challenges in the Indian Ocean region and also about the future plans of Indian Navy. With cameraman Riaz, this is Akash Sharma for CNN News 18.
But that is time for a quick break here on this edition. But lots lined up for you on the other side, so don't go anywhere.
What we heard in the sound bites by Emmanuel Macron and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Let's talk about the second part of this deal, which is with Boeing. And this is also an equally significant one, which is also over 200 aircraft. So if you put both the deals together, it's close to 470 aircrafts. As far as Boeing is concerned, this is a deal that we saw the release of the White House that was put out as well. This is significant because this amounts to almost $34 billion and has the potential to go up as well. But it's not just about the aircrafts. It's once again as far as the significance of ties between both the countries. And this is something that was highlighted by President Joe Biden. He also went on to say that even if you look at how this will impact the economy, this will help almost 1 million jobs in America alone. And as I said, it has the potential to go up as well. So as far as Boeing is concerned, that deal stands at about $34 billion, and that will have over 200 aircrafts. The deal with Airbus will have about 250. So put together, almost 470 aircraft is what we are looking at. As we said, this is one of the largest aviation deals that we're looking at in the history of aviation.
Ridhima, also, how is this deal going to impact the ties between India and United States?
Oh, absolutely. As I pointed out, and this was something that was highlighted by US President Joe Biden as well, once he was talking about why the significance of this deal was important, was not just as far as the revival of the aviation sector or specifically revival and expansion of Air India is concerned, but this has also gone through because of the deepening ties between both the leaders and the kind of trust that we have between India and United States. And I'm in fact just quoting from what US President Joe Biden said. He said that this purchase will support over 1 million American jobs across 44 states, and it will not even require a 4-year college degree. But as far as the ties between both the countries is concerned, this is again what US President Joe Biden said, and I'm quoting, he said, "This announcement also reflects the strength of the US-India economic partnership. Together with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, I look forward to deepening our partnership even further as we continue to confront shared global challenges, creating a more secure and prosperous future for all our citizens." So this is Amrit Kal, as we've been saying, and this is a new chapter because, if you go back to the 70s or even the 60s, it was almost unimaginable to see or even envision a deal like this. And today we're awaiting the order of almost 470 aircrafts, about 250 from Airbus and over 200 from Boeing. So it also speaks a lot as to where India is positioned as far as the global map is concerned, and how Prime Minister Modi also is seen as a leader and the power vision that he has for the country at large.
Ridhima, also after this landmark deal, what impact will it have on the global front? Like, this is a historic deal. How will the world now see India as?
As I was pointing out, Anjali, this is significant, right? It's not just the aviation sector that is closely watching deals like this, but also on the global map. As I said, if you go back about 40 to 50 years, a deal like this was unimaginable. And that is why yesterday was seen as a landmark day. It was seen as one of the biggest deals in aviation history. We don't remember the last time we spoke about a bulk order of over 450 aircrafts. And once again, going back at the cost of sounding repetitive, even if you heard that video conferencing, and we put out those sound bites as well, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, said exactly this. He called Narendra Modi his friend Narendra. It spoke significantly about the friendship between both the countries and where the ties between both the countries stand. Similarly, what we heard from US President Joe Biden as well, the push continues to come because of the ties and the relations that India enjoys with all these countries separately. So as we said, going forward, of course, this will be a big job creating factor. This will help both countries economically as well. And on the larger space, this will help as far as the revival of Air India is concerned, right, which, as you would remember, and as our viewers would remember, ever since it's come under the wings of the Tata Sons, they've had a new plan, they've had a new vision. And as part of this revival and vision, these deals and the intent of buying these aircrafts is very, very important.
Right, Ridhima, please stay with us. We have former Air India Executive Director Jitendra Bhargava joining us on this story. Sir, good morning. Sir, how do you see this landmark deal that Air India has done with buying Boeing aircraft?
It's a most welcome decision, because if Air India was disinvested by the government, it was primarily to ensure that Air India survived as a major airline. Now, what Tatas have done is to place a huge order which catapults itself to amongst the mega carriers in the world. You very rightly stated that we have never seen an airline placing an order for 470 aircraft, and the order being hailed by no less than the President of the United States, President of France, and including the Indian Prime Minister, who was present at the ceremony when they announced the Airbus deal of 250 aircraft. Now, what it would do for Air India is that it will allow Air India to expand its network very aggressively. Yeah. Something that Air India failed in recent years, because under government ownership, it was starved of funds. So everybody would welcome it.
Now, India has scripted history in the global aviation sector, with Air India inking a deal to acquire 470 aircraft from Boeing and Airbus. The Tata Group's bid to buy 250 Airbuses is the world's largest aviation deal in history. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed the landmark deal, and as part of its historic expansion, Air India will also purchase 220 planes from Boeing. The agreement shows the deepening ties between India and the United States and
Welcome back. The death toll in quake-hit nations Turkey and Syria has crossed 40,000. The World Health Organization has described the earthquake in Turkey as the worst natural disaster in a century in what it characterizes as its European region. The United Nations has estimated that up to 5.3 million people in Syria may be homeless after the earthquakes. Lakhs of people are in urgent need of food and shelter. Today, the NDRF provided relief material and aid to Aleppo. It included medication and aid received from international communities. CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra is on ground there, tracking the aftermath of the quake, getting us stories of despair, destruction, but also of hope and miracles.
We are in Noor Dagi, one of the worst affected areas post the earthquake, and in fact behind me also there is this stretch which is completely devastated. And in fact, this morning when I was passing through, I could see people pulling out their sofas. They were pulling out their basic amenities from this debris. It is a very dangerous structure, and in fact the army here is not allowing people to go inside because it's very dangerous. Even locals are also not going inside. But always efforts are being made to pick whatever little they can pick. What are the real problems and what help you need from country like India and other countries? What help we should send for you people?
Firstly, thanks for everything to come here and help for us. And our government mostly help about everything, about accommodation, food and some clothes. We don't need any food, any clothes, but mostly problem in here containers and about some home. It will be a very big challenge for us. Don't know. I'm not sure about this. I don't see tomorrow even what will happen. We will pray to God and we will start to I don't know.
Okay. So this is a situation of almost every house here in Noor Dagi where I'm reporting from, and in fact look at the devastation around me. I would ask my video journalist to pan and give sense to our viewers. So this is the level of devastation. In fact, now after almost a week's time, people are coming back and they are pulling out their stuff, the basic stuff which is lying here. And in fact, they are. This is the only hope left, and they really don't know. They don't have any clue. What are they going to do? How are they going to build the city? They say the only hope is God, and they don't have any idea. Whatever is possible, government is doing. All they require is toilets, heaters, and shelter homes, containers, so that they can protect themselves from cold. Right now, we are reporting from shelter camps in Noor Dagi, Gaziantep, and in fact, you can see here that how government has deployed volunteers to play with children, to give them toys, to keep them entertained in these tough times. And in fact, there are more than 16 volunteers currently on ground in this camp, playing with children, giving them toys, and in fact, they are making sure that children remain engaged in playing and in other curricular activities. I'm being joined by one teacher. He is here responsible. What is an idea behind this engagement and entertainment for children?
Okay. Gameplay and joy stabilization.
Okay. How many of you are here?
19 days.
19?
Pardon, 9 days.
9 days. Since 9 days you are here.
Yes.
So there you see children are playing with toys, and even these volunteers are trying to engage them maximum they can, because in these tough times it's very important to keep children engaged so that there should not be any psychological impact on them of this devastation, destruction. And this is a very nice initiative by the government of Turkey, and in fact in every camp you will get to see such co-curricular activities going on.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The dust over the shocking Shraddha Valkar murder case had not even settled, where the 24-year-old, remember, was chopped into 35 pieces by her boyfriend, who then scattered Shraddha's body parts across the national capital. Now, another bone-chilling murder has sent shivers entire country, again from Delhi. A man named Sahil Gehlot strangled his live-in partner to death inside his car, then stuffed the body at his own dhaba. But the story doesn't end here. The accused got married to another woman, that too in less than 24 hours. So a murder and marriage all in one day. Cops have recovered Nikki's body from the fridge that was at the dhaba and the data cable in the car which was used to strangulate her. This investigation hopefully will be less complicated than the Shraddha one, given that the body, the murder weapon and the accused are all found. In fact, Sahil has been remanded to 5 days custody. The question though is, why are women in marriages or live-in relationships falling prey to such gruesome murders? Why is it that more and more such cases are coming to light, especially amongst the upworldly mobile, young working professionals in big cities? Is it that murder, and especially brutal murders, even chopping of dead bodies, has been normalized so much, for example, by multiple OTT series in recent times? For example, there is a show called You, where a dashing, well-read man falls in love with women, murders countless people, anyone who comes in his way, even his eventual partners, disposes of bodies with ease, gruesome depictions of body sawing in the show. He goes on to move from one city to another, even hops countries and never gets caught. Is it that such shows are not only normalizing murdering and chopping women, but also spreading a feeling that you can get away with it and lead perfectly normal, even exciting lives? We'll take those questions to our guests in just a bit, but this is what we know as far as how Sahil committed this murder and why. So on February 9, 11 p.m, Sahil and Nikki, who are live-in partners, drive to Kashmiri Gate in the national capital. It's a very busy area, most viewers would know. Nikki confronts Sahil about his wedding plans, which she was unaware of so far, that he was getting married to somebody else. The couple then have a heated argument inside the car. Sahil allegedly strangulated her with a data cable at hand, and around midnight on the intervening night of 9th and 10th, he panics. He drives with Nikki's body in the front seat, for example, for 40 kilometers. She's dead at this stage. He arrives at his family's dhaba in Najafgarh, stuffs Nikki's body inside a fridge inside the dhaba. Apparently, this dhaba was shut because his wedding was coming up and there was nobody around. In the morning, very casually, as if nothing has happened, he comes back home to prepare for his wedding function. Take a look at some CCTV footage that has come to light which show Nikki's final moments alive. She is caught in this footage on February 9 at her home. Later that night, she did meet her live-in partner at Kashmiri Gate, as I said, and was killed. This could well be her final moments. She was strangulated inside this car by using a data cable, as I mentioned. It does send shivers down your spine that this can happen in one of the busiest sections of Delhi without anyone noticing. But such is life in a big city today. Who would have been noticing what is happening inside this car is a big question, because till this stage, I don't think anybody noticed and there was no update to the police or otherwise. And this is the footage of the dhaba and the fridge inside that dhaba where the body was stuffed. She was thankfully found soon enough because a neighbor complained of not having seen her for a while. The police have, in this case, launched an investigation to track Sahil even before an official complaint was registered, for example. So kudos to them for solving this case. The biggest issue is such murders are almost seeming routine now, even in big cities. Take a look at such crimes against partners that have come to light recently and the brutality of the crimes here. Also this month from Palghar, for example, 27-year-old Hardik kills his live-in partner Megha, stuffs the body inside a mattress. How do you live like that? In October 2022, in Gurugram, for example, a woman was raped, killed and stuffed inside a suitcase. The husband was held 2 days after the suitcase was found. Last year in December from Jharkhand, a man killed his wife, chopped her into 18 pieces and then threw body parts in different places. May 2022, of course, this is a case that became big headlines because it was two young professionals again from the national capital. 28-year-old Aftab strangles Shraddha, chops off the body into 35 pieces, stores some in fridge. In fact, several key body parts have still not been found. So the big question we asked today, as Nikki's murder shocks the entire country one more time, like I said, why are more and more women falling prey to such murders? And what is really driving these men to commit such brutal murders and live even around body parts like nothing has happened? That's coming up in just a bit.
Another incident that has shook the conscience of the national capital. Currently, I am reporting from that very vehicle that was used in the incident in which Nikki Yadav was killed. When an argument broke out between Nikki and Sahil regarding the marriage of Sahil, Sahil decided to go ahead and strangulate Nikki with a cord that was present inside the vehicle. Right now, I'm standing at Mithron village at the very dhaba in which it has been alleged the body of Nikki Yadav was found out here. So yes, Sahil drove all the way from Kashmiri Gate to this dhaba out here in Mithron village in Nazafgarh. That is approximately a distance of 40 kilometers.
Let's go across to some experts joining us. Lakshmi Narayan is former UP DIG.